Hello, we're already on the third day of IELTS, specifically on the advantage and disadvantage topic. So today I'm going to show you a bit of the book, and we're going to talk about stress, because in our next class, which will be next week, I'm going to do an essay with you, an essay at band 6 to 7, and we'll keep raising the band, of course. So now I'm going to show you here a bit of the book, just so you can get your bearings, because I've been following the book, right? This is the book, right? This is the advantage to advantage. We have one for each type of essay, right? Whether it's opinion, problem solution, etc. So here it has a very clear structure, which I've already shown in the previous class. It has a structure to be used. So there's a template, which is very important to use in the paragraphs, as I mentioned in the previous class. There are also gerund exercises, which I already gave in the last class, last week, about the gerund. And here is where the common mistakes start and how to improve, how to make improvements on these mistakes. So it's very important. I'm going to have a class just on common mistakes, but it's very important to look at them before writing any kind of essay. It's very self-taught, and it's actually quite interesting because it clearly tells you how you should do it and also explains why you should do it, why it's a problem, why it's an issue as well. And then as we continue to go through the book together, there are the informal words. Some of them are very informal and some are even overused. These include a variety of examples, and we take the time to explain each one in detail. How to improve as well. So then you have all their synonyms. This is right at the beginning. So I show what a band 5 is and an improvement on band 5. That doesn't mean it's already band 6 or 7, okay? It's just an improvement on band 5. I show all of this and keep increasing the bands according to the lessons. And here it shows the original. I'll even read one here for you, like, public transport is cheap, but it is often crowded. How am I going to improve this? Public transport is an affordable option, though it is frequently overcrowded. I'll explain this, though, in a moment. We're actually going to have this lesson today on grammar. And here is one of the most important things that you should really pay attention to. In fact, I want to mention that I am also going to use this myself. And to give you a little extra value, I will share something additional here taken from these examples so you can get even more out of this. Adjectives, they're adjectives. Academic. Significant, considerable, serious, and dramatic are adjectives that we're going to use anyway. Of course, we're going to use many adjectives, but this is just a starting point to show that we can begin to use them. Instead of important, we can use significant. You can even use considerable as well, but also instead of considerable, considerable can also replace large or big. Serious is important because important is an overused word, and dramatic. And then we have some conjunctions here, which are compound conjunctions, both and not only, but also to boost our scores. Remember that the more you include your knowledge of grammar in your writing, of course, not too much, not in a sequence, but naturally in the flow, will help you earn additional points in your writing process. So this is really important, okay? The leader is in the air, and today I'm going to explain why we use transitional phrases. Some of them here. However, nonetheless, in fact, in addition, thus, furthermore. What matters is that they're here. Then right here in the book, they explain what these phrases replace in our everyday language. But now I'm going to begin, and I'll stop here on page 18. I won't go any further because from that point, it starts talking about adverbs, and then I'll move on to your adverbs as well as these adjectives here that we're going to need. What I have for today is a simple and quick model so that we can get started with writing an essay. Afterwards, we'll dive deeper into the specific grammar for each type of essay. Looking here as well, stopping on page 18 and now looking at the structure. Just so we don't forget the overall structure of advantages and advantages, let's quickly review it together, shall we? Look, here is the introduction, which is the starting point of our discussion. The introduction here says paraphrase, paraphrase. Mention both sides, the advantage, which would be your topic. Don't forget this, guys. No repetitions when you talk down there in the paragraphs. I'll explain in a moment. An outline, you have it. Here there are 3 steps. I like a second one here, and this third and this fourth one. The second one here is just to, for now, to give some support to this first one here for the paraphrase. Why? Because at the beginning, we're not very familiar yet, so we need to give some support to explain things a little more thoroughly. But later, we'll start gradually increasing our bands, and of course, you'll do it according to your own pace. What you think, as long as you follow the structure. For the love of God, don't stop following the structure. And then C, paraphrase, mention both sides, the outline they mention. This outline, they say, you will just present the they say. It's an introduction. So you will present it. This they say will discuss both the advantages and disadvantages of stress. So we're going to talk about stress. And here we're going to say, while it can be helpful in certain situations, it also causes many problems. See? I used a little contrast, which I'll explain all the contrast to you later for you. But I used while, right? While means while. While João is optimistic, Maria is pessimistic. So I'm required in the second sentence to create a contrast. And if we go just a little bit further, we'll get to body paragraph 1. In body paragraph 1, I'm already clearly demonstrating my advantage here. I'll show this say soon as I finish. But I'm going to use tell. That's important. Here in the topic, it would be an advantage that I had already mentioned back in the introduction. It has to be your advantage. Don't forget that. So I want to mention my main advantage here. That's actually very important. And finally, then I follow the tell, which stands for task execution line. I have to follow the tell carefully so I don't stray from the main task actively, ensuring that I don't lose coherence and cohesion and keep the paragraph flowing smoothly. I will explain my advantage. I will give an example. And finally, it's not a conclusion, but I will close the paragraph kind of like a conclusion, but it's not actually a conclusion. Then we move on to the second paragraph, which would be the disadvantage, and I will follow the tell again. And for the third, I'm repeating this, but here there is already a 6 here that I will talk about later. And finally, here is the conclusion. And there's the conclusion. It follows three steps. And these 3 steps are actually very important and essential for the following reason, which I will explain in detail. Here, there are only 2. But the last one would be, I'm mentioning it here, my opinion, okay? My opinion. It's very important. And finally, I wanted to show here that the tips we have to, they're just some tips, right? Keep each paragraph focused on one idea. So each paragraph has to focus on the topic you choose. Linking words, use linking words such as on the other hand. As a result, for instance, you have to use an academic language. Avoid personal pronouns, avoid contractions, avoid vague words, which I will talk a lot about with you. And grammar, use the gerund, use formal adverbs, use word formation, which I will also cover with you here. And finally, word count. 250 is the minimum required by IELTS. If you don't reach 250 words, you will lose points. And a maximum of 280, because we have 40 minutes for this. I'm going to stop here so the video doesn't get too long. And of course, still today, I will explain. I'll start right away with a short video about stress because that's going to be our essay topic. At first, it will be an essay. I'm currently going to give you some vocabulary for us to use in our lesson today to discuss and write the essay. So let's get started. I'll stop here and see you in the next essay. Don't forget to check out Amazon if you want to buy a book. It's cheap, only $11 each, and it's very important that you follow along, okay? So see you in the next video.